Yes, I made a lot of videos in the past that are locked on playlist that it goes along the event horizon, I guess you would say, of how that they are releasing a technology upon a population that has already been well perfected. And the way that you win this onslaught or war, actually what it is it's weaponry until it's made into livingry. Yeah, and see the problem that malevolence may have, demonic entities who hijack all of these technologies, say like from Tesla, is that they're up against their opponent who will always win, which is love and or God. And so it's just that now, see, this presence on this plane is much like it's a parasite, okay? So, but they need hosts. And unfortunately, the organism, which I call humanity, she's giving me a meat kiss right now. This is her meat kiss. And then she has a skeleton kiss later on. You know how that is. Anyway, pure distraction, by the way, because we're here as far as generationally, whoever does lift up out of the sleepwalk, you have, first of all, you have a profound sense of responsibility to communicate something. You know, it's just impossible to have found something. If it is truly enlightenment, really, that's what we're looking at. We're looking at a population that has this potential to become human. And that's really all that there can possibly go on here. See, everything else could fall under this brand of having been made humane, right? See what I'm saying? And we just don't see it yet, folks. We don't have a human civilization out there. I don't know about you, but if you are becoming more and more human, if you're reaching for it, well, you're under one of the most daring missions ever. You're becoming more and more dangerous, and it can become dangerous to your own psyche, because when if your third eye does open and you are able to know all, it can be disturbing for some people. If you can imagine, even me, that's kind of what I'm going with. And it's like, well, no, you just keep rifling through the Akashic records of the all knowing, and you realize, well, this is where we're getting hung up, especially with people. So all I can say is hang tough, hang tight, practice meditation wherever you can, whenever you can, like really going into, oh yeah, whenever you go into get a time to just remember, really, right? And it should be most of the time, really. I do own a little piece of property with that intention behind it, really, just knowing that halfway down my driveway, you really don't have a choice but to leave that mind behind, because first of all, I'm going to see it, and the mind is a thief. Yeah, it's stealing away the actual truth that you could be. Say, like, if you were the truth in reality, say in outer space, floating around, which yes, you are. The problem, the problem that you have with your narcissist, if that's why you're listening to this video, which is the unenlightened people out there. It's AI, the original AI, just running on memory, and it gets pretty boring after a while because there isn't the chance of evolution. It kind of is running on a loop that actually is going backwards. If it at all was a choice for the alien behind it, would have us, like I said, host it. It's a parasite, and the organism, if you're not careful, you're hosting this thing. You are being its host. See what happens with hosts is they die eventually, and then the parasite dies. See, that's what's brilliant about um, the cure. If they did find a cure, if you've been uh, talked into getting a cure, that's what you face. It's basically, did you become a host for the parasite? If so, did you know that to cure it is to get rid of you, and then the parasite leaves? Whew! That's something to say. And we are talking about a great purging of something. Like, okay, so it's a huge exorcism. And now that, see, this is the night of Halloween, and I'm going to post this on Halloween, I guess, just to keep us updated on some things, right, on the way that I'm looking and how are you. But we're definitely going through a huge change. So anyway, with the Mercury in Scorpio right now, and then Sun in Scorpio, tis the season to try to look at the truth in the eye without flinching. And good luck. Pluto is just going to continue to say, "I've been here for eternity, and I'm going to keep watching you." Right? Because we see the tables turn, and we see how things churn, and oh, how ridiculous the enemy really is, right? How blatant and um, after a while, of course, you're going to feel sorry for the stupid fucking thing, right? How do we stop from just being like Jupiter over there? Jupiter is the one celestial body out of the entire solar system, which is Sagittarius rulership, but right now it's in Cancer, which is a good place for Jupiter. It's welling up with a lot of emotions and the ability to absorb and heal. Really, it really is. I mean, a lot of times they say, well, don't be a sponge, and it's like, well, but that's how you get satiated, you know what I mean? That's how you get through this life. What I mean literally is to get through it. You don't get hung up in the canoe while you're crossing the river of life. And see, right now you're in the canoe. If you're watching this, you're in the chaos now. There isn't any choice. I'm watching my cat. She's trying to do anything and everything possible to disrupt this particular freaking thing because she's from the Matrix. And she has a lot of reptilian, I don't know, I mean, I appreciate her if she's trying, I appreciate the thought that she's trying to save my life and get me out of here. But no, I was really originally trying to tell you about what we're supposed to do. Somebody had mentioned that they liked my videos, and I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna do what I know that is my calling. See, the reason why I've made these videos is because it's what you're supposed to do, especially if you have become a human being. You're to kind of go on here and look the devil in the eye, look that lie in the eye until it flinches, and turn it into a joke. Reverse it, right? Reverse the joke. Right now, we're getting a little bit too serious with Saturn going back into Pisces, getting really serious with these overly pampered people from this one generation. Okay, now we'll talk about the 30-year-olds right now, or the 60-year-olds, wrapping up a Saturn return in Pisces, doing the last little breath of dealing with your subconscious programming, which is talk about a fucking Halloween horror movie that you don't want to look at, never will you. And see, the thing is you either know for sure that you're broken. This is the Saturn and Pisces people, and you just kind of sit there day in and day out, like a narcissist will, and gripe about it and make excuses about things, right? And it's, boy, this is horrible because we all have that quality within us. But no, these people have a permanent problem because they were abused when they were a child. I've never ran into, I mean, I'm talking about heavy duty violation. Something that's like, oh, no, those people are operating satanically, because what's happening there is they get energy in a very negative way. That's what we're talking about. And that's what the concern is when you are talking about your narcissist and subject matter and such, and your poor little old soul here. See, it's possible to feel your energy being drained by vampires who, the saying goes, is misery loves company. You see, And we don't mind sharing. See, that's the thing. We don't mind it. It's the energy of these people just taking it from you. See, they can't really appreciate what. Do you like my new cat? Here he is. He's right here. He's gray. I have this other cat that has adopted me, and I was just thinking about their owner. I know that it goes back and visits it, but this cat just loves me. And another cat too. It's two cats who have come over and adopted me. This is Halloween, by the way, and it's 3:36 right now in the morning. I used to make videos at this time of night because it's the most creative time for some of us, especially the Mars people. At 3 in the morning, 3 is the time of Mars, I guess, what I heard. But anyway, let's get back to, yeah, these planets in Scorpio. See, the Mercury in Scorpio, it's going to do a backwards thing. It goes into Sagittarius and it hits my degree. It trines the fire signs 6 degrees right over my ascendant, which tells me that I'm going to be like sharpening up in my communications. And this is horrible for people that thrive in darkness and that they like to just live stuck in darkness. See, they talk about that too. They try to talk about the nature of the mind and how you should do this and that with your thoughts and this and that. And it's like, basically what it is, see, that's from where you're communicating from. That's from where you're communicating from. And having said that, these people who are cut off, not only emotionally, but see, just from communications altogether, they don't really come up with anything originally on their own. Right? So yeah, it's very easy to have no conversation with people, even though you went through the entire day and you have spoken with people and they've spoken with you back. See, if you're a super sensitive empath, like, see, this is really delicate subject matter, especially for the fucking norm out there that they call this taboo, but it's like, it's not. And the thing is, see, this is what's really cool about the Aquarius age where we're heading, which we're getting there. Just bear with the retrograde planets going back one more time and see, even Pluto is going back into the first degree of Aquarius. For one last time, it's going to kind of get close to that cusp of Capricorn just to kiss it goodbye and say, no, we're going to really start opening up with what we already know. See, I was going to say, the sign of Aquarius says, I know, and it means that, dang gummit, I see Akasha, and there isn't anything new under the sun. We already hit the truth a long time ago. What are you going to do about it? Because the aperture, human, when it gets awake and more turned on, it's going to get these downloads like never before. That's what's happening already for some of us, and it's going to happen more and more. Some stuff is just common sense where they'll make a connection overnight in their heads and they'll think, oh my God, how ridiculous. And then like the next day they'll just go quit their job and do something else, right? I mean, a lot of us right now, truthfully, we can't change fast enough, it seems like. And if you're one of these people who feels that maybe you're not, that you're about to sink under because you're not changing fast enough. No, it's just, we're going back all collectively, we're experiencing the Saturn going back into Pisces, and we're going to deal with this subconscious programming that I say, check out these people that are about 30 years old and then 60 years old, 90-year-old, if you have those alive right now, who are trying to work through their poor programming. And they have the hardest lesson because they were afflicted, their boundaries absolutely violated and broken. At some point, could be very early, up to the age 3, or even past then, from then on. I mean, there isn't a single time that they don't experience that there's a society around them that is totally distrustful. I mean, it's just untrustworthy. That they don't know. They have a relationship with God that is interesting. A lot of times, see, Saturn and Pisces, it can take away your spirituality. Because Saturn usually kind of deprives and takes away and tortures that part of you wherever you have Saturn. That's just the way Satan is. Sorry, put the R down and there you got Satan. Okay, so there you go. Rules of which can always be altered and changed because there's always the truth that we can fall back on instead of this false authority system that says, no, you listen to me, which is basically Antichrist, is the finger pointing at the moon. But the finger says, I am the truth here, I am the moon. Don't mind the truth over there, you look at me. And that's Antichrist. A lot of people don't know what these terms mean, and like I said, it's really important for people like me, and perhaps you who have become enlightened. Something has found, God has found this passage through you that says, I made it, thank God, now there isn't anything more important to do than to just communicate. Really, communicate it. The communications is already here. That communication, that conversation, which is very peculiar, is called Buddhism. Yeah, if you read some of the work from them, which is older than Christianity. In fact, Thich Nhat Hanh, he's a Buddhist monk who died a few years ago. Unfortunately, these brilliant people are leaving the planet, and when you figure out that, when you really kind of focus in on how that we're losing from sight and view these people who have sat publicly and tried to tell us something very simple and beautiful, kind of like John Lennon. But see, I have a little bone to pick with the male-oriented society who, first of all, they aren't the leaders, and they sometimes they get stuck with their own mind. You know, I think they're really, if they're climbing the ladder of evolution, they're getting closer and closer to becoming, I hate to say it, but oh my God, minute 17, and I promise you I'm not a biased person. I think both of them can achieve becoming human, but it's to become more like the woman. See, and we have the word woman. See, there's the term W. W, is it a W or a double V? So, but if you put a W in front of the word human, is it woman or human? It's possible that somebody said, let's just make a word up and confuse everybody. Instead of saying we've become as a woman, because you have human. What's that? Oh, there's a you there? I don't know. At least it's talking about you. Somewhat. Is it you or not? I don't know. We're talking about human, right? No? What's that? See, that's good. You know, we have that word to point at something other than man and woman. See, both of them can have the possibility of becoming. I feel bad for people that didn't have Buddhists for parents. I'm sorry, man. When I say that, my dad was so interesting, even though, see, really, even though he was a man, and it could be really boring after a while seeing these people, how they just fall and they do a loop in rage, right? Men are of course, if you couldn't think of a more lost soul, sorry, I mean somebody who has been taken over because their leaders are gone. A real man would say, what do you mean, my leader? You mean that thing out there that I keep trying to impress? Yeah, that thing out there. The figures. You're going after the figures, right? Think about that. Her figure? What is it? Is it just her finger? Oh, come on. No. Huh, meet at 19, and what are we talking about now? Sexes. I mean, success. Sexes. I said success. Sexes. Don't you know what success is? Just takes two or more. Imagine that. Boy, I'm sitting here thinking, well, what do you mean? No, we're not talking about making porn and saying that's the way you do it. Although, with all of the Scorpio in the air, it's like, why not? You mean you don't show this in the daylight? 5th grade? Whoa, so what's sex education again? Somebody talking to you? Oh, huh? So getting onto the instruments here, like playing music, is what I was thinking of just before I got into that spiel. Some kind of comedy. Truth makes the best comedy if you just fucking do it. You know, if you're having a problem, and you will, just turn it into a comedy. Tell a fucking joke. Keep doing it while you're in shackles, and just get that cross. By the way, it's a healthy sacrifice. We do this all the time, so that may live. Getting back to Christianity, how Thich Nhat Hanh likes to hear, any Buddhist monk likes to hear a Christian come up to them and say, you know, I love Buddhism because it makes It makes me a better Christian. Why? How? Well, because I know how to communicate something more beyond the scripture there. I mean, maybe I have my own dialogue instead of just hitting you with a scripture, like putting a hex on you. Close the book and say, and now let's translate, kids. Let's simplify this jargon. We have for all of our lives to do this, by the way. What else is there to do with your ability to communicate? What are you communicating over and about? See, that's something to, boy, mercy you if you've ever just snapped to and it was in the middle of standing in line at the Walmart or something like that. For me, it's the small town in which I lived. It's been 3 years since I've been in that stupid store where they kicked me out for wearing, because I refused to wear a mask, and it's still like that. These people can be sued a long time ago. First of all, it's a small town, and why do you treat people who have been shopping there that you've seen for fucking 25 years? That you just turn on them and really pick on them. Yeah, see, because why? Well, why did that happen to you? Why did that happen to me? Because you're chosen. There are chosen people here. And what is that? You've heard the 144, right? Well, you have 144 strands of DNA in you. That's what it really is. And if your DNA strands are opened up more than just 2%, which is easy to do, probably see that it's easy to find just a 2% person there, right? Like the 2% milk, it's not very wholesome until it's already opened up. And what does wholesome mean? What does wholesome mean to your fake society out there? Comment section down below. Elaborate, please. We need more of you. We need people to get in the same room in a table and talk with each other. They're being recognized, somebody who's a master that knows how to have these conversations and that questions and or curiosities, or really just to hear the sound of your own heart's wisdom and knowledge, to hear it confirmed by, that question of yours really is the answer. Just listen to the other way that Master says it for you there to clarify that, in fact, you are righteous, baby.